Hey, this is Stephen Platinum, your friend in wrestling, with a look at Fyter Fest 2, the second week anyway, that took place, let me see, I guess on July 8th, 2020. I'm a little late getting this out, but I'm going to put this out and I'm going to do an Ask Platinum where somebody asked who quote unquote won Fyter Fest or Great American Bash, which I think is a really great question with a very nuanced and interesting answer that says more about the sort of state of modern wrestling than it does of merely answering that question. How was Fyter Fest week 2? I thought overall it was a good show. I don't think it was a great show. I saw a lot of people, opinions vary, of course, amongst AEW fans and wrestling fans in general, most certainly. And while Fyter Fest this week had the unenviable task of making up for not having a title match, because Moxley not able to be there or not willing to be there, but though that match will take place next week against Brian Cage with Taz in his corner. I think there were a lot of misses, but then there were some makes as well. Let's just go through it. So they didn't have an intro, which I found really interesting. We just kind of went right to it. Clearly they knew that they were competing with Great American Bash on the NXT show, and I have to say this is the first time where I felt like they were scrambling to try to beat them, which I found really kind of odd. It seemed very reactionary. Maybe I'm overstating that, but it is what it is. So no intro, we go right into the first match. Private Party, by virtue of their win last week and having to make up for the Moxley match not happening, they've got Matt Hardy in their corner and they're going to get a shot at the tag team titles. Right off the jump, I thought that this was a tell that there was no way Private Party was winning this match. We'll see if that's true. I like the talking in Page's face that happened because Page came to the ring first for his side, and so Private Party were getting in his face. A little bit of intensity is a good thing, especially because we tend to have a lot of face versus face matchups in AEW. They brought up the beer thing where, so they're already throwing Omega and Page in with the mix with FTR and all the rest of this kind of stuff, talking about how these stories are evolving. Again, Private Party definitely taking a back seat here. The double Spanish fly that Private Party did was the one notable, ugly, wonky move. Private Party continues to improve, however. I used to be very, very hard on them, and they were not one of my favorites. But this match, they definitely looked the part. They did well. We have a promo happening in the corner for Orange Cassidy against Chris Jericho. They're obviously wanting people to stick around and watch that. And they've announced, so they're doing a lot of the work that you would do at the top of a show during this match, which again, I get why they're doing it. I get experimenting with format. I don't think it was very effective. They also said Taz is going to have a major announcement. Everything felt like it was taking away from this match, which is I know they certainly would not want to do. I thought the countering the buckshot was really good. The shooting star by Private Party absolutely ruled. Things broke down, and eventually we had the last call, which is the buckshot clothesline combined with the V-trigger knee or whatnot, and they got the pin. Okay, so Omega and Page won. In a match that I would say is very good, but, nothing super spectacular. Pay-per-view worthy, probably not, if I'm being harsh. We've got our commentators tonight, JR, Tony, and Excalibur with his mask. They promote, again, Orange Cassidy against Chris Jericho. Nyla is going to be in some kind of handicap match. Dark Order against SCU, which has now been modified over the course of Dark. They announced this, but for tonight, it's going to be two members of the Dark Order, Brody Lee, and then another member of the Dark Order, and Colt Cabana against all three members of the SCU, which I think is a good switch. We have the Lucha Brothers and Butcher and Blade against the Young Bucks and FTR. which is the match that I feel like is going to have our great moments. Joey Janela against Lance Archer, which apparently we're going to go into pretty quickly. We'll go to a commercial break. Cody is going to do a spot for this Hot Ones Eating the Hot Wings game show, and one of my kids remarks that they can't wait to see Cody have to eat the hot stuff, which I think is really funny. I had my kids watch, but they lost interest throughout most of this show, which I think is a bit of a problem as well. But we're going to talk about that later. Second match comes up. Joey Janela against Lance Archer with Jake Roberts. Lance Archer, who thankfully has stopped beating up staff members. I'd like to take some credit for that, hopefully. Comes out with Sonny Kiss on his shoulders, who's Joey Janela's tag partner, which I think is really clever. Has Sonny Kiss, throws Joey Janela. Now we can have Sonny Kiss out there without Joey Janela look like he's trying to give himself an unfair advantage in a way that makes sense, and Lance Archer gets to keep up his I beat somebody up all the time game. Go to another commercial break in the course of this match, where my early take is, man, Joey Janela is getting a lot of stuff here against Lance Archer. Cody had to drink the hot sauce, so okay. And apparently they're going to have to do a question thing with one of the contestants. Every time Cody can help this guy get a question right or get a category right, he'll get $100. Every time they get something wrong, they're going to have to take bites. You know, for something that should be as simple as, if you do it right, you get money. If you do it wrong, then you get punished by having to take a bite of, like, hot wing. They seem to muddy this up. And I don't know how you make that complicated, but it seems like they had to take a bite before every question regardless. So, oh, fuck, man. Like, what? Simple stories, simple things executed. And that's not on AEW, but it's on their product. I should point out, by the way, since I am going to talk about the Puppy Battle Royal, since that's a part of this whole package, that 2 hours before Dynamite / Fyter Fest went on the air, they had this live thing on YouTube. AEW, be very careful. If you have a thing appearing, this live pre-show thing, it's got to be awesome. And having those two people out there shilling matches for 5 minutes and then going away. And one of my kids described it as it felt like a Kids' Choice Award host energy, which I don't know who's supposed to. Again, there's so much of AEW that's just speaking to their hardcore fan base choir, and not attempting to bring in people from the outside. Anyway, we come back from commercial. Janela counters successfully more than one Lance Archer finisher. Gets in a double team behind the referee's back on Sonny Kiss as Jake Roberts just takes the ref. I didn't get that spot at all. I thought it was very wonky. They needed someone to agent that part to make it smoother. I got what they were going for, but why is Jake Roberts trying to come into the ring with the snake? That's never been established as a thing. I don't know, man. Again, this match it felt like, it just felt like Janela got too much, that the spots were kind of forced. They didn't seem to flow. And then a table spot happens. Now Janela has that table set up, and then later on Lance Archer throws him through it right in front of the referee. I think it's a fair criticism of AEW is there is no league where the referees look dumber than in AEW. If you're going to have, you got to explain. If you're going to change the rules of tag team wrestling where people can stay in the ring longer, that's fine. Then establish that and say it. So the referees don't the referee's just staring at Joey Janela getting thrown through a table and then getting rolled into the ring and counted. Again, it's one of these things that it just felt like there wasn't an adult in the room to sort of help smooth these things out. That's just what it feels like. Just saying what I feel. Go to commercial. My kid really wants to see Cody have to deal with this hot sauce at this point. We have the Darby stunt where he falls from a bajillion feet, which really looked great. I mean, it's hard to top backflipping onto the skateboard for the last one. But this one was definitely impressive. Keeping Darby in the mix, keeping him cool, it's all very smart. The stuff with Britt Baker, whether I think that it works or not all the time, it's still cool that they're doing it with her. And I really like that about AEW, I do. Taz Talks. Now, this was promised to be a change wrestling kind of thing, and it's giving Brian Cage the FTW title, which is cool for old wrestling fans like me who remembered all that. Is this life-changing? Is this change the face of wrestling? I suppose for the character of Taz and for Brian Cage, it could be argued on some level, but no, it doesn't feel that way. The WWE, if they have a knock against them, is that they overpromise and underdeliver, and I do not want AEW to get into that. Speaking of overpromising or not promising at all, they did have the puppy battle royal thing that's going to take place right when Fyter Fest ends, and it was not promoted a single solitary time throughout this show. And that's annoying to me. If you're going to do a thing, promote the thing. I mean, that pre-show 5-minute deal, they never promoted that. They never said a thing about AEW's got to tighten these things up, man. They got to tighten these things up. By the way, somebody I know had the idea of the FTW should stand for F the WWE. If Taz had said that they would have popped huge, and that made me laugh. We go to a commercial break where they promote where UFC has a commercial. Interesting. Really good. Yeah. Now we get this. Now we got the 8-man tag: Lucha Brothers, Butcher and Blade against FTR and the Young Bucks. The Knuckle Lock stuff. I wrote down little notes here. Knuckle Lock looks amazing. All the Knuckle Lock stuff looks really great. That top rope Hurricane Rana looked bananas. This was the Lucha Brothers exhibition. I have to admit I was wrong. I just thought this was a foregone conclusion match. FTR and Young Bucks come together, even though I felt like they had done a better job of coalescing the Lucha Brothers and Butcher and Blade as a team. They had that great thing on AEW Dark. They had talked a lot about how the Lucha Brothers and Butcher and Blade were working in lockstep together. We're going to take this truck. We're going to make the challenge, blah, 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 blah. But I thought, nonetheless, FTR and Young Bucks, clearly they're going to win this thing. And they did not, which was great. They get the first split screen with the commercial to keep our interest. The Canadian Destroyer to the outside is absolutely bonkers, and that's why I'm making it the picture that I'm putting along with the audio in the video. It was bananas. It was as great as you heard it was. It was fantastic. It's a huge win for Butcher and Blade and the Lucha Brothers. It's a great example of, you know what? This is a match that the FTR and the Young Bucks could lose, especially with one of the Young Bucks getting pinned. And the FTR's reaction to losing the match being like, well, we're in a tough tag division. Again, I think everybody wins. I think this was match of the night. I think it served more to advance their cause of their tag matches. They're emphasizing a strength that they have over the WWE, all three brands of the WWE. And it was a total home run win, one of the few of the night. Yes. Big Swole can't get into the building because Britt has gotten her suspended for attacking her. Big Swole, fun little interaction there. And she brings up the logical, you could have called me, you could have faxed me. You didn't have to let me come all the way here. But I like that they established the fact that Big Swole brought that up, but then it sort of pointed out in the direction of, but she is here, so let's see what might happen later. Very smart. Number 3 match, Nyla versus Kenzie Page and Kylan King. They got destroyed, which is good. This is exactly what needed to happen. Made Nyla Rose look great. Made Lance Archer de facto look weak. And Kenzie Page just does not have the look for this thing, or Kylan King. It just didn't. I mean, I felt bad for them. I don't think it was a good look for them. I mean, they did exactly what they were supposed to do, but it really did highlight the fact that neither one of them are ready quite yet to get signed. I'd say Kylan King much closer than Kenzie Page, if that's the route that's eventually going to happen. But Nyla looked great. And the announcement that she's going to have a manager, and who's that going to be? Interesting. The bit with Colt in the back getting some therapy because he's got the hematoma, showing that thing looked great. Brody Lee basically saying, "We're going to protect you. Don't worry. We're going to protect you." An interesting, nuanced little take on their future match, which is happening right away, I guess. In match number 4, Colt Cabana with Stu Grayson of the Dark Order and Brody Lee against SCU. They too get a split screen. And, during the first match, they had What Happened on Dark running on the ticker on the bottom, which I thought was really great. And here, AEW Dark is promoted again, which I really like. I mean, if you're going to do a thing, promote a thing, right? And AEW Dark obviously does not have the viewership of Dynamite/Fyter Fest, so you would promote AEW Dark on Fyter Fest. It's great. The Dark Order does go over. The match itself is really well structured. Colt Cabana's a total pro, continues to sell that hematoma, the idea of them wrestling and all of that. They didn't do the exact same story that they did for Brody Lee and Colt Cabana in a tag match, which was we cheated, but Colt Cabana didn't notice. They didn't go that route. They managed to win. Really cool. Fight for the Fallen is next week and promoted. Great cause. TNT Open Challenge returns. Lucha Brothers are going to take on FTR. That's very cool. All the more reason for the Lucha Brothers to shine in that match. Young Bucks and Kenny Omega are going to take on all 3 members of the Jurassic Express. That's very cool. And Moxley against Brian Cage. And one thing that this sort of puts out there to me is that this Fight for the Fallen is a little superior to what we're seeing tonight as far as on paper. Just saying what I'm seeing. Big Swole confronts Rebel. Britt's nose gets hit in the meanwhile. We know that's going to be trouble for Big Swole, and Britt playing up the comedy of her nose getting hit really well. Again, they're making this Big Swole Britt thing work. I think the two of them are performing really well in it too. Commercial break. We've got the Hot Ones thing. Finally, we get to see the fruition of that. Cody's having to eat a lot of hot wing, and the guy manages to win $400. Yay! And now our main event, Orange Cassidy against Jericho. What's funny is Orange Cassidy, who gets a lot of knocks for being non-traditional, wrestles very traditional matches. And he gets to shine in the beginning, which is the right call. Jericho grabs him in the walls as a counter to a thing that happens pretty soon, close to the beginning, which is awesome. Great selling by Orange Cassidy throughout this match. Jericho didn't have to do a lot, and Orange Cassidy helped him look good and held his end up on this match. We go to a split screen commercial. Cody, by the way, sent me a text talking about things, which is, I think it's such a great little marketing tool since people are often looking at their phones and such during wrestling shows nowadays. It just is. Yeah. Those kicks look great. When he did the wimpy kicks spot with Jericho, as Jericho was kind of woozy, but then pops him with the real super kick at the end, I thought was a really nice moment. The Best Friends, who were sent to the back to show that Orange Cassidy wanted to win without their help, even though Orange Cassidy had to put up with outside interference from Santana and Ortiz throughout the match, which made him look like a really powerful babyface. The Best Friends come out when they can't stand no more to take on Santana and Ortiz, but that distracts, unfortunately, poor Orange Cassidy, who takes a bat to the head and gets covered, but kicks out, which was a great little spot, but then eventually falls victim to the Judas effect, which sometimes looks unbelievable, and here did not look great. It's a tricky move. But that was the end of our show. But I'm gonna review the Puppy Battle Royal. Why? Because I thought it worked. I thought it was great. I thought it was 10 minutes of fun. I thought it's something that they should have talked about during Fyter Fest. Again, AEW, they gotta work in lockstep with their different things that they're doing. It's helping angelsrescue.org. They had somebody from there speak. Apparently the puppies that are in this Puppy Battle Royal, and they're gonna have 2. They're gonna have one for the the girls and one for the boys, the boy dogs and the girl dogs, which I thought was funny. I guess that these dogs were actually named after AEW wrestlers because the litters were from AEW fans. So that was cool. And then they had little promo segments from each one of the women involved. So Sheeta put over her dog, Nyla did, and Penelope Ford cut the best promo for her dog. Tony Schiavone called this the greatest night in puppy or whatever. He made an allusion to the things he used to always say for Nitro and then sort of made fun of the fact that he had to do it, which was great. Again, this thing was way better than it had any right to be on paper, and they did such a good job, and it's a shame it just wasn't promoted more. I thought it was fun. Sheeta dog gets thrown out. Sheeta, Brandy Rhodes dog, that eventually gets thrown out, and then the Nyla dog is out. If the dog stepped out or if they went poop or pee, they were eliminated. So the Penelope Ford dog won, and Penelope Ford was thrilled, and it's fun. Then in our main event, we got MJF, who again cut the best promo for his puppy. Orange Cassidy, though, doing the little thing, the little half thumbs up for his dog. Hilarious. John Moxley didn't do anything for his dog. Come on, man. We couldn't have recorded John Moxley at home cutting a promo for his dog. We should have. Tony Schiavone with the line of the night, and I'm including Fyter Fest in this when he says this is better than anything I called in 2000. Big, huge laugh from me. Orange Cassidy dog eliminates. By the way, Orange Cassidy dog wearing sunglasses to the ring, totally over with me. But Orange Cassidy dog is out. The Moxley dog is out. One of them pooped or peed, and that's why they were eliminated. Not that you needed to know that, but I'm trying to be accurate here. So the MJF dog won, and we'll see if they make a bit out of it. They probably won't. But anyway, that's my take on Platinum versus apparently the Fyter Fest pre-show, Fyter Fest, and the Puppy Battle Royal show. Man, I give it all to you folks. That's what I do.